everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is Dwayne and we're doing another Quad Cortex tone recreation video. So Alpha Wolf just dropped a new track featuring Ice-T called Sucks to Suck, and the song hits so hard, and I was actually planning on doing another tone recreation for a subscriber, but when I heard this, I'm like, this would be a sick and hopefully somewhat easy-ish tone, or I say easy, but it's never always that straightforward to to do this stuff. But I thought, you know what, it'd be kind of cool to try and create this tone. So I'm going to get straight into doing this tone. So I've got a stem track in the background in Reaper. It's not perfect, but it kind of gives us little glimpses into the tone that we can kind of use to shape our sound. Now, I'm not actually even sure what Alpha Wolf use. I'm in drop B on my guitar. I don't even know if that tuning is going to be enough. But one thing I can tell you is I'm inclined to use the EL34 red channel. This is what I use for all my heavy tones. For the cabinet, and I've actually got one pinned up the top here. The Zilla is perfect. I mean, that's a sick heavy tone. We know listening to this song that there's so much saturation going on in there. We're probably going to keep the bass at 5 because otherwise it can put low end muddiness. We'll put the mid up to 6. For the treble, I think we'll also put some additional high end in there. For the presence, we'll also put 6. And for the master, we're going to bump that up to 6. So we want something a little bit like louder. Let's see how this sounds. I mean, this is sounding good already, and we've only just started. It feels almost too easy. So this type of sound always benefits from a tube screamer. I'm actually going to put some overdrive in there for additional saturation, something I don't always do. Going to enhance the clarity a little bit, and for the level, we're going to bump it up to 7. One thing we also want to do is put a noise gate on there. I can hear that's noisy. So that tube screamer should have EQ'd our sound a little bit more. Here we still got some clarity in there. This is actually probably going to be a very straightforward sound. I don't know if it's Alpha Wolf that I remember reading use like a swollen pickle fuzz for their sound. That might have been Knocked Loose actually. But I feel like the swollen pickle has become a very popular. So we're going to bump the master up to 7 to give it a little bit more saturation. So I can hear that we probably want a pitch shift from there to go down. Now the pitch shifter, I've got a love-hate relationship with the pitch shifter because sometimes it works and sometimes it makes you sound terrible. You go down too many semitones. I think I was close. I think it's in drop A sharp maybe. can hear that one semitone down was what I needed. Now, if you're in the right tuning for whatever this song's in, drop A sharp or drop A or whatever tuning you want to call it. You want to drop the pitch shifter, obviously, if you're not needing to go down. But it's a good little trick. I'm in drop B, one semitone. I can hear that this sound is actually pretty like... Now, we are clipping a little bit. Our master volume maybe is slightly too high. Actually, I think we want the master up, but I think I'm going to put the output down just to stop it clipping. So we'll take the output down to compensate. I think we need to go down more. Still clipping. And we could probably use a tube screamer to introduce a bit more distortion in there, just to kind of thicken it up. That sounds nice and chunky, but it's not over the top, like, it's not muddy, if that makes sense. You can hear that it still has clarity, because when I go, if I play like a more of a, like a power chord or something. There's also a little bit of slight artifacting there. You can't really hear it too much, but I can. From the pitch shifter, if you didn't have a pitch shifter, then it's, you know, it's different. Slightly a little bit cleaner. So that's why you should always try and tune down, or buy a proper drop tuning pedal, which I am actually going to do, I think. So we've got our bass tone. We're going to say this sucks to suck. We probably want to add in like a little low high pass in there as well, just to kind of clean that up. And we'll probably want to take that from 100, I think. This will just give it a little bit more like clarity. Let's go from the start, and I don't even know how to play this song, but I'm feeling it out.
I am too bent out of shape, walking around with a lip wide. No, wait, I am too bent out of shape, walking around with a lip, looking for something to breathe.
actually think we got that tone. Like, if you listen to it, it is quintessentially like a kind of almost a metalcore tone, but it's got so much more saturation in it than a traditional metalcore. It's like modern metalcore. Like a lot of modern metal doesn't scoop the mids out anymore. They're kind of, if anything, they're adding mids in there, and we could probably even add some more treble in there for a little bit more clarity. But I try not to overdo it because my guitar here in question has the alpha and omega pickups in there. It's the Mark Holcomb PRS SVM 7-string. And I find these pickups, if I go adding too much brightness in there, like they get really bright. So I try not to overdo it. But your guitar may need more treble in there. There's no harm pushing this up to 7 on the treble, and even presence up to 7 if you want to bolster it a little bit more. But you can see this pitch shifting block here. This doesn't really matter in a lot of circumstances if you're in the right tuning. I'm not. I had to go down. We've got a classic tube screamer here, which we're using to actually add a little extra overdrive in there. That's rare for me. A lot of the time, I will actually put the level up to 10, leave tone at 5, and overdrive 0. It's a classic trick, but this actually gives it a little bit more grit, pushes the amp a little bit harder, which I think this song needs because it's got saturation. We've got the gain at 8 because it is a very gain heavy song. But this amp here, I find if you push the gain too high, it can get a little muddy. So what I did was I kept it at 8, and I find that's a sweet spot. You know, depending on your pickups in your guitar, you may have to put that down. Same with the master. I had to push the master up because this, you can hear in the song it's loud, like it's saturated, but it's still got clarity in there. And because this actually caused us to clip on the output because we're using the tube screamer in front, I did pull the output, which just brings the overall amp sound down a little bit. That kind of allows us to get the saturation, but not blow whatever you're running, your headphones or whatever you're running to. I use the 412 Zilla V30. This is one of my favorite cabinets. It's why it's pinned in my cabinet selection. And that's the same with this amp. That's why it's pinned in my amp list as well. But I'm pretty one-track minded and always default to this, and it never lets me down. And lastly, we got a low-high cut there, and we set the high pass to 100, clean everything up from that point, and then the low pass at 16K. We could have probably brought that down if you wanted to. I didn't want to kind of filter out too much of the highs in there. But that's the preset. That's the sound. And we could have actually gone a little bit further. We kind of hastily did do this, but I didn't want to kind of get too caught up on trying to replicate an album tone, because even though I did create stem tracks, as you could hear at the start of the video, the stem process that I used struggled because it's so high gain. But you could hear it's saturated, and I think we achieved a saturated sound. It also didn't quite work out what they were playing, but it sounded like they're going... got a hardcore, guitar riff vibe about it. But I think you'll agree that this sounds pretty good. You could use this for pretty much any modern metal tone. Might require a few little tweaks, but for the most part, I think it's a pretty solid tone. I'd love to know what you think in the comments as well. If there's anything that I should have done differently to kind of tweak, if there's too much gain maybe. Could have pushed the tube screamer up and pulled the gain down perhaps, and that would actually achieve a similar result. Sometimes I like to experiment around, and if it sounds like it works, then it works, right? Like, at the end of the day, that's it. As long as the result works, it doesn't matter how you got there. There's lots of different ways to achieve that. So if you made it to the end of this video, I appreciate you watching. And if you have any songs that you would like to see me try and replicate the tone on for the Quad Cortex, and then I'll also be uploading this preset onto the cloud and linking it in the description. And then you can download that onto your Quad Cortex, or, follow along with this video and replicate it in one of the Archetype plugins or another modeler perhaps, because a lot of this stuff I do isn't Quad Cortex specific. I am using the Quad Cortex, but you could do this on any EVH style amp, as long as it's the 5150 and, preferably EL34s, but you could do this with pretty much any EVH 5150 or even a 6505 PV. Would work as well. But yeah, you can replicate this on anything. Which is why I do these videos, and kind of show you the process of how we get to that sound and what we put in there. You could even replicate this with a real amp and pedal setup as well. It'd get you a similar result. Maybe the settings might need to be tweaked, but it kind of shows you the process. So if you made it to the end of this video, I actually appreciate you watching this. And if you'd like to see more of these videos, I'd love if you subscribed and liked the video. Obviously, no pressure. If you just wanted to watch and go, that's no pressure at all. But I do appreciate the subscribes and the likes, because it does help me keep doing this and grow the channel, and also for other people to kind of, make the stuff more available to them in the algorithm. So I appreciate your time, and I'll see you in the next video.